Painting with Manoff John is recorded in Super Legitivision. Super Legitivision, the future of podcasting.
Hast du etwas Zeit für mich? Singe ich ein Lied für dich von 99 Luftballons auf ihrem Weg zum Horizont. Denkst du vielleicht grad an mich? Dann singe ich ein Lied für dich von 99 Luftballons und dass sowas von sowas kommt.
Guten Abend, Brushheads! Welcome to episode 99 of the Painting with Manoff John Sunday Night Extravaganza. Holy shit, John, we've made it through 99 of these. At least that's how many we've counted since the modern era.
Now I get your joke. I couldn't hear the intro.
Ah, yes, indeed. We were doing, of course, that was Nena, a famous German thing from 1984. Yes, famous German thing. I have a way with words. That's why I'm a podcasting professional, damn it. All right, well, here we go. Yeah, I need to shave. There's no two ways about it. So, I know. You're inspiring, John. So... Welcome, everybody. This is Sunday night, and that must mean that it is all right. We are here on the Twitches. We are going to Twitch for the next 90 minutes. We're going to paint some things. We've got, of course, the Dhunia knot, these shapely lasses from the Thornwood, and we are going to be painting them up. I hear they're good. I have not played them yet, but Beer Machine Rich, our favorite friend from the Drunken Dojo, says they're good. So that's good enough for me. And we'll be painting them up. But that is not all, John. I have, of course, with me, how did I forget to introduce the co-host? With the host, Mr. John Spencer.
Heyo.
How are things in the fabulousness of Maryland this evening?
They're doing okay. Doing okay.
Well,
Well, rain,
good.
but temperature's solid, so.
Hey, man, I just wanted to stop in to say hi. So there we go. A little quick cameo there from the Luchador bottle opener, of course. But it's been raining all day here in Racine. We're pretty happy that Casa John's basement has not become Casa John's swimming pool. We're pretty happy about that here. We have a wonderful show lined up for you. What are you having for a beverage tonight, Mr. John?
I have a shot of Kraken, and then I have cherry Coke mixed with some of that 43, and let me tell you, it is damn tasty.
Damn tasty, you say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. I am going to be sticking with the Spotted Cow. We have the New Glarus Spotted Cow here, a beer not available anywhere outside of the United States. And so to all the brush heads in the house, we have 13. That's 27 less than we had last week, but that's okay. It's quality, not quantity. Hey, Ron.
Ron.
Probably should have talked more about the spoilers we've got tonight from our favorite friends over at KR Multicase. John, maybe we should go ahead and just get that right out of the way. We have a very special item that I want to show, and I hope I can get it in here. So as you know, KR Multicase is a sponsor of the show, and they are the manufacturers of the famous Butterfoam. And it's a little-known fact that, in the United Kingdom, that's what fancy people call England. They have that's where the Doctor Who is from. He is Doctor Who is a very popular show there. They've had a couple of episodes of it. I hear it's catching on. So I wanted to KR Multicase to celebrate their success. This new startup show has created a KR Multicase that has broken reality.
Broken reality. I hope we can fix it.
Well, here we go. I'm going to put it up down here on the photography cam. Well, the first thing you're going to say, but Manoff John, this KR Multicase card case looks just like all the rest of them, except it says GK plus MK. And you're saying to yourself, what could that possibly mean? That doesn't look like it came from the factory, because it didn't. I wrote that on there myself with a Sharpie. Let me open this up, and you will be amazed at what's inside. Ladies and gentlemen, a Glacier King and a Mountain King in the same foam. You know, they said this couldn't be done. And right here, I'm telling you, this foam has to be bigger on the inside than it is on the outside because these are two huge base models, and they're rocking it. Now, if Rabblebaum tried this, Rabblebaum couldn't hope to get this kind of stuff done. They'd sell you probably a bag for each one of these, and say take it, you'll like it, and don't try to return it, or else our customer service people will yell things about your ancestors. But not
That's
here.
hard.
But not at KR Multicase. They respect your ancestors, and not only that, but they have committed several crimes against reality by creating a foam that is this amazing. So, just to give you an idea of how amazingly huge this is on the inside, this is Mulg up in here. So you can put a Mountain King, Mulg, a Glacier King, and maybe a couple Axers back in here, in case you need to ask somebody a question. So this is some of the most transcendental butterfoam we've ever seen here at Painting with Menoth John, and they sent it along. Now, this is not yet even on their website. That's how exclusive this is.
Oh, snap.
If you want to order this, and specifically it's this one, is the special one right now. This is the WM25. The WM, John, stands for War Machine.
Yes, it does.
I know, right? They're clever as shit there. And
But everyone here knows that because they read the article we linked to from a couple weeks ago from John Webb.
that's right, John Webb. You know, that guy's got an Oscar. And so you got to listen to him.
Technically, he does have an Oscar.
He has an Oscar.
Absolutely.
He knows, guys with Oscars, that's who Americans listen to. And John Webb is one of them. He's not American, but he knows his butterfoam. And so you can put your Glacier King in here, you can put a couple Axers, you can put Mulg, you can put a Mountain King in here, and the whole time you're defying physics. Neil deGrasse Tyson is not in support of this particular case. But here at Painting with Menoth John, we are. And I'm going to break a little knowledge egg loose on Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is almost like a planet. It's so amazing. So there you go. If you want to order one, all you have to do is go to their get over there to their customer service page and tell them you want a WM25, and then the Glacier, the Mountain King, is a WM4 for the Mountain King, and they'll put that right in here in one of these special card boxes that they have, and you can bring your big buddies with you on the airplane, quick as a bunny, no problems. So
You should probably have your foam the other way around, though. That way, when you hold it by the handle, they're resting on their base and on their top.
oh, I'll do that.
I know butter foam, but you know.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. I will change that. That is innovation right there. See, we're plussing it up here tonight on Painting with Menoth John show.
Breaking reality is not enough. We got to break reality and make it more convenient.
Oh God, yeah. We're kicking ass and taking names here tonight. So there you go. I'm going to lower the camera here. I was in KR Multicase height right now, and I'm gonna. Oh, scary! Oh, look at this, scary! Ah, get in there. There we go. All right. So now we're at normal height, so that you can look at the models a little bit easier. In fact, I can probably bring this over here and have it be super legit. All right. So I'm gonna start painting tonight. Now I'm painting the Dhunia knot, and what I've done so far is I've used some of the surface primer, which is right here, and we've already, oops, there it is. So we've already put a light dusting on this, and the folks were right. If you don't really coat the living shit out of it, it won't be shiny. And so apply judiciously, and it works very well. I almost think I like it better as a brush on than an airbrush application.
It works as a brush on. I'm going to share Ghoul's video eventually where he goes through it. He does mention you do need to have it set for a while.
Okay.
Like, he said a week.
Wow, really?
Now, I have a model that I'm painting that I did not take a week for, but, you know.
Wow.
Who knows? I trust the man. So I primed some stuff, and I'm going to leave him for a bit.
I have seen that I've heard some talk that if you put it on too thickly, it'll come off. And
well, any primer coat will do that because, I mean, it's just meant to adhere, and then you adhere paint to that.
right.
So
Perhaps what Ghoul is getting at too is that if it maybe that coming off part had something to do with with some of the it not setting is enough yet either, not enough time.
Yeah, if you put it on a little thicker, it might need to set more. I definitely just watching his video. I actually changed my technique a little bit after watching it. He does a lot of dabbing to get in spaces rather than consistently brushing, and
Okay.
dabbing helps, especially because I use a ginormous brush to put this on.
Cool. Well, there you go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get my favorite tool out. That'd be the wet palette. We all know my love for the wet palette, and we're gonna go ahead and start painting this stuff. John, you had one of your locals want to talk a little bit about the Malifaux.
Actually, no, it's Dracos Dragoon. He's one of
Oh.
our
Well, there
one
he
of our
is.
listeners here. One
There
of
he
our
is.
Brushheads.
There he is. I'm sorry. I totally Dracos. I'm very sorry. So
1 second here.
no spokesmodel. I'm sorry. We don't do a spokesmodel every show anymore. So
All right. So we want a little talk about the Malifaux. So Malifaux's been around for a while. They're one of those companies that started off, I believe, just making some cool models. Then, hey, let's just throw a game together for it. And since then, they've gone into a second edition that finally, I guess, about last year, really got going. About Gen Con the year before actually really got going, where they got their second book out for the second edition, and all the stuff they had released before was finally usable.
got it.
So, firstly, if you guys ever make a game company, you want to make a new edition, make sure everything's usable out of the box. You got to. Everything that came before has to be usable out of the box. It helps a lot, because Malifaux took a little bit of a downturn because of that.
I think
Because, I got models I really wanted to use, and I'm like, I can't use it, so it sort of sit in the back burner.
I think I kind of remember when that happened. I remember that they'd released like a number of the old models didn't get the new cards right away, and that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's sort of like that. Oh, no Blue Glove of Love. That's right.
Oh
You
shit!
promised the Blue
Oh,
Glove of
shit.
Love.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
there you go.
All right, hang on. Inserting hand into the blue glove of love now. All right. Oh, such a tight fit. All right, here we go.
That's what she said.
All right. There we go. And blue glove of love engaged. And there's your there is your confirmation of safe painting. Remember, we always are all about the safe painting here at Painting with Menoth, John. All right, back to the Malifaux.
All right, so Malifaux is completely, if you will, scenario based.
Mhm.
In fact, the technical way you play it is you get together with your buddy, you figure out what deployment and what scenario, what schemes and strategies you're playing, and then you will have declared your faction before this, and then you make your list from your available models in that faction.
Okay.
So you can theoretically go, oh, hey, this scenario or scheme came up, so I don't want to use these models. Let me switch them out for something else. So that's a really cool thing. It is kind of counterintuitive to new players, and I suggest if you're playing new players, you don't do that. Just show up with your stuff, and if it's bad for you, you just grin and bear it.
Yep. And,
It'll help the new players. I mean, eventually you want to tell them, like, hey, this is how we technically do it, but... So literally you could theoretically go through an entire game without killing another model or even interacting with another model, but that's no fun, so people don't generally do that. Because honestly, some of the strategies and schemes require you to kill other models, and that's good. There's sort of a problem with Mark 1 is that it was entirely possible for almost all of them to not interact with the other player, and that's... Why are you playing a game then? Come on, guys.
Yeah, there are card games for that.
Exactly. It's called solitaire.
Yeah, exactly.
So they fixed that mostly. Like I said, it is still possible, but it's a lot harder. 3 foot by 3 foot table means that, you're going to be getting in the business round 1 or 2, honestly. None of that jockeying for position stuff that we do in War Machine sometimes. You're straight into shooting people and getting in melee. And also the most important factor, I feel, is that it's not a my turn, your turn. It's alternating activation. So I do a model, then you do a model, and back and forth. And even with special rules, it'll never be more than I do a model, I do another model, then you do a model. And maybe another model if you've got a special rule too.
Yep.
Which is definitely a good addition, because you don't want too much of that. another Mark one where there could have been, hey, I activated a model and all the rest of my models, and Alpha Strike the hell out of you.
Yeah. Was that used to be possible in Mark 1?
Yeah, with one particular crew, the Perditas, they were all family, and they had ability where they were done, another family member within certain range could go immediately.
Oh, okay.
And they would just chain activate their way through their entire force. And they're very big on guns. They're sort of lots of gunslingers in that.
Got it. So they just blow the opponent right off the table before they ever had a chance.
Quite possibly. But they've fixed that. You can't have more than, no matter any way you do, you can't activate more than 2 models in a row. So they're probably one of the best. Them and War Machine are, in my opinion, the best changes from 2nd edition. Like, it literally went from being a little bit shenanigan-y and not the best to downright fair and really playable.
Cool.
Now you guys thinking, what about Infinity? Infinity was much more playable in 1st edition, in my opinion, than either of these other 2 games. So, but it's good. It's scenario driven. The models are amazingly good, and kind of, unfortunately, kind of a pain in the ass to put together, which just goes hand in hand with being amazingly good.
Yeah, I had actually purchased some Malifaux in 1st edition, and they were so spindly compared to what I was used to seeing.
Oh, John, they're all plastic now, so they're better and worse because they are more spindly, but they're plastic, so plastic glue is your friend. And yes, that's another thing. Plastic glue is your friend. I know we don't get to use it in War Machine too much, but good Lord, buy yourself some plastic glue. It is the best way forward. Plastic glue and a little bit of patience. Because those models are super, super spindly in some cases.
So what is the difference with plastic glue?
It literally melts the plastic together.
Oh, okay.
So after you use plastic glue, you very well may not ever be able to get it apart again.
Okay.
So make sure you're serious on that. I've actually had old cases in GW when I was using a little too much plastic glue, a little too much came out, and it would melt like little grenades or something I was putting on there, so it became just a melted blob. So you have to be careful with it a little bit. Now, modern plastic glues aren't as bad. And if you get the tester stuff, which is the gold standard, little black, vaguely triangular-shaped bottle with a little tube coming off, it's the bomb diggity.
Jenny in the chat room was asking if I was painting directly on the sponge, and that is no. On here I have a piece of parchment paper, just the same kind of parchment paper you would buy at the store for cooking, and I put the paint on that, and then the sponge is underneath that, and it soaks through, so it keeps the paint nice and moist.
Indeed. So, Malifaux, it's a good game. There's still a lot of occasional bullshit in it, but you sort of got to find your own bullshit to counter their bullshit.
Is it balanced to the point where War Machine is, where everything is broken, so nothing is broken?
So I'll actually say, for the record, and I means it is a better balanced game than War Machine.
Nice.
Because War Machine steamroller scenarios are artificially implanted upon the game to make you play it in a way that's more conducive to having a good game. So gun lines aren't fun lines.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yep, that's true.
While Malifaux has those scenarios that are all pretty well balanced straight out of the book. Now, they have their own steamroller thing called Gaining Grounds. I think I talked about it before, where they take most of them. And you can also look at it and go like, okay, I see the similarity between this new scheme or scenario strategy with this other one, that's in the book. So you can see where the lineage, if you will, is of it, but they change it, and that's how they fix stuff. Like a certain caster with a certain build was completely out of control, so one of the potential schemes or strategies hurts that build. It may not come up all the time, but he's got to be aware of it, and he might have to play something else.
Makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's really good. I've been enjoying the heck out of it. I will honestly say that if something horrible happened to War Machine, and we never wish that, I'd be okay with just having Malifaux as my main game.
Cool.
Super cool. It's a 3 foot by 3 foot table, means that it's very, not very terrain intensive. A little bit of terrain goes a long way, and it's true skirmish. I sort of call War Machine sort of faux skirmish because, sure, it's skirmish level, but the numbers can get a little crazy, especially when certain Merc players go a little nuts balls with the number of models they bring.
Well, to be honest, I look at it as more small army scale than a skirmish game. I think when I think of skirmish games, I think of Malifaux, Guild Ball, more Infinity, things like that, where you can where it's less than a dozen models.
You haven't played certain people in Infinity, apparently.
Apparently not.
That's a dozen models. No, Infinity tends to be the high end of what I would consider true skirmish. Tops out about 20 models or so
All right.
in normal points values. But that's also because there's an inherent advantage to bringing more models.
Okay.
So, but that's for another cast. We won't talk about that. And of course, I haven't even mentioned the most unique thing about Malifaux yet is the fact that it doesn't use dice at all.
No, it's got the cards, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And it's basically like having a 54 card deck that's all 52 cards and the jokers, and they'll have values obviously as you go past aces. Ace through 10 obviously is pretty understandable what their number is, and then after that, jacks 11, queens 12, kings 13, and the jokers, depending on which one it is either 0 or 14.
Got it.
And it's built around a sort of what they call the cheating mechanic, which is a weird way to call a mechanic, but you're sort of cheating fate, so to speak. So if you drop if you're flipping your cards, you don't like what you have, in most cases you can cheat one out of your hand. You have a small selection of cards in your hand. And that also helps you, the suits matter for triggering model abilities. So sometimes you need to just trigger an ability. And so you drop the card out of your hand like, oh, cool, now I got critical strike or something cool like that.
Got it.
It seems complicated, and it is at first, but once you play it once or twice, you really get it down. There are modifiers to the flip, which make you flip more or less more cards, and depending if it's positive or negative, affects which card you get to keep. If it's positive, you flip multiple cards and keep whichever one you like. If it's negative, you flip multiple cards and keep the lowest possible one. Which also prevents you from cheating, because let's say, sure, I flipped, now it mechanically says you can't cheat, but even if you could cheat, it'd be like, all right, I flipped a 10 and a 1, but I need something better. I put a 9 in. Well, you still got to take that 1 because it's a negative.
Got it.
So they just don't even make it as an ability to get out cards out of your hand, because there are people who have abilities that are bonus for getting cards out of your hand. There's a lot of sort of meta stuff where occasionally your hand size and stuff matters, which is kind of weird. And there's a handful of abilities in the game that may leave a bad taste in your mouth the first couple times, because they seem to violate the mechanics of a game, which is always unfortunate when you get a game with such a unique mechanics. When you have abilities that just bypass everything, you're like, that's kind of horseshitty.
Like Isle of Sight.
Like Isle of Sight. That's even, and they're not even as prevalent as that. I mean, there's a couple mechanics here or there that are like that.
Got it. I just wanted to take a swat at Legion, because I like to do that.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So it's a good game. It's up and coming. They're still putting out great models. Their third book came out last Gen Con and had campaign rules with cool upgrades and stuff. It's not quite, the heyday of campaigns with Necromunda and Mordheim from GW, but it looks pretty good. And my local group's going to be playing one of those here come up soon.
There's so much more of that campaign stuff coming around these days.
It's honestly, it's where the super fun's really at. Necromunda is not the most balanced game in the universe, but a campaign of Necromunda is so much fun, especially if you have a GM who's willing to go a little crazy with stuff. I ran one for a long time at the local GW store with employees and customers where, on Friday nights I'd run, multiplayer battles. And occasionally if I was there during a normal game, they'd be like, hey, John, throw something crazy down for us. And based on what terrain we had or whatever, I'd throw something crazy down and they'd get some cool advantages to it. So it's super fun.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in a very critical, pivotal part here on this
You're
model.
in the zone.
I'm in the zone, and
Like,
I'm trying to make sure I don't f up this model.
but no, yeah, it's really cool. Campaign systems are good. Obviously, I'll talk more about it as we play it. It's built from a very interesting standpoint. So the game's also built, and this is sort of a deal breaker for some of the old players. There are a couple haters who did not stay with the game when it changed editions because they took some of the more complicated and corner case abilities off the models and made them upgrade cards,
Aha.
which cost more points. So while in first edition, let's say someone would be able to use all these crazy abilities, and you may not know what you want to do. I'm like, oh, what do I do this turn? Now it's distilled down to what they would consider the essence of that character, and then anything else you want to do is an upgrade that we may pay more points for.
Okay.
And that's very cool because it means that you can play. An upgrade may make all the difference between how you play. One of those guys I play, he can play standard, or you can take an upgrade to use any undead models in the game. Just got to pay for them normally, or any constructs in the game. So that sort of can really, you've got 3 styles to play, just that guy.
So you're literally
very
taking you could actually be taking stuff off of other factions lists.
Absolutely. And they have a lot of guys like that. Like if it makes sense, like if a guy's cross faction, because there is some cross faction models. It started off with the 10 Thunders, which are these sort of Asian motif ones, and most of them were sort of infiltrating Malifaux, which is the name of the world, and they all had multi-faction guys. So they pretended they were with one, but they were actually for the 10 Thunders. So they sort of kept going with that. So now there's a lot more multi-faction ones. And, a guy makes sense. Like if the 10 Thunders have an undead daimyo who, if you take the right upgrade, can summon more guys and inherently lets you buy certain undead models that fit his theme.
Cool.
So you can sort of take samurai zombies if you want, because he's the daimyo. It's kind of cool.
So it's
and
it's
the
a
one-
little it's a little bit like the Do you feel like it's like the mercenary mechanic in War Machine and Hordes, or do you feel like it's very different? Like Compound for Guild Ball plays for the alchemists and the engineers, but is an alchemist model.
It's a little more like that. The actual mercenary function, they actually have mercenary as a descriptor, and you can take those in any faction. You just pay an extra point for them.
Got it.
So there are literally mercenaries. In fact, if anyone looks at the 2-player starter set and is worried that you don't like either of those 2 factions, every model in that box set is a mercenary, because Weird's a little smart about that. They realize they want to get sales from people who may not normally play that. So they add stuff to it. So they're like, hey, so all these models can be taken in any faction. You pay an extra point. Sometimes it's worth it because you're getting an ability you don't normally have in your faction. And sometimes maybe it's not, but it's for you to decide.
Very cool.
So super fun. The box set, 2-player box set, is a great value because it has literally enough for 2 people to split it and play. Or one person can buy it and have lots of extra models. It's very cool.
So I've seen in your area there, I know you guys get to play a lot of more games than I do in my local area. Is Malifaux a growing game, do you think, or is it a game that is kind of become a more constant?
It's regrowing. They have a Malifaux night. There's usually a fair amount of people there. I mean, half dozen to a full dozen or so. And that's Thursday night, so take that into account when you're talking about it. They had a fair amount of people for the last tournament. So it's fairly good. I mean, honestly, this is still a GW area primarily, with War Machine as a second. And anything past those tends to be a little less.
A little more corner case.
A little more corner case. It is bigger than, say, the Infinity group. Different reasons, but won't get into that. So it's growing, and a lot of us are playing it. If you're ever looking for a second game and maybe Guild Ball or X-Wing, something simple like that doesn't appeal to you, it's a great second game. You may not get the same depth from it, but you don't necessarily need to because it's right there, great out of the box, so to speak.
It's a lot like us, John. Great out of the
Absolutely.
box.
So it's a fun game. I suggest it. If you ever want to throw any questions my way, either personally or even through the cast, feel free. Hit me up on Facebook. Hit us up on Gmail. PwMJ@gmail.com. However you want to do it.
Absolutely. And if there's any, if there's anything you'd like to see us, any other games that you'd like to see us talk about that we have some expertise on, throw a question our way, and we'll see if we can fit it in a little bit better.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, if you, I was say, you want to throw any question my way, I'll do some research and give you an answer. It may not be the best answer, but
it'll
even
be
if it's not
an
something
answer.
in my normal way, I'll totally find you an answer.
There you go.
Actually, I like doing research and stuff. My Google Foo is pretty strong.
Excellent. My Google Foo is less strong, but John, if he has a question, will definitely probably kick something my way.
Absolutely. So there's the quick overview of Malifaux.
Nice. Well, thanks, John. Appreciate that. I know we had, we love taking questions from the audience. Sorry, I got to bend this microphone down so that actually I'm talking at it while I'm painting. So that was really cool. And we're continuing here. I'm working on, for the Dhunia knot here, I'm working on some sanguine base. I like sanguine base for a lot of the cloths in my trolls because as far as I'm concerned, it is probably one of the nicest colors to highlight off of and you can do some really wonderful things because its highlight color, which is sanguine highlight, really it's a little bit more on the transparent side, and as a result it makes it really super fun to highlight it with because you can make mistakes with it and it doesn't cost you.
It's also a good base for a lot of reds because you can keep the reds really light, really watered down and build them up well. I was doing that with the current model I'm painting, which is an Infinity model, one of the Yon-Yons or Space Pirates because, hey, Space Pirates.
Hell yeah. The other thing I want to stress while we're painting here tonight is that the key for newer painters and the best advice I can give you is making sure to keep your paints, don't paint out of the pot. It's a real temptation to paint out of the pot, and it's straight up the worst. And I was a big offender of this. I mean, if you go back 99 shows, you're gonna see me before I got this this wet palette. You're gonna see me painting right out of the pot, and you're gonna say, "Menoth John, this is the kind of hypocrisy we expect from a normal mainstream politician, not the president of War Machine and Hordes." You're gonna say that, but you'd be wrong because any hypocrisy that I tout is you got to prove it. So it really helps, especially with these colors where you're basing putting a lot of base coat on to help keep them nice and wet so that they flow good. And this is starting to sound a little bit off color, starting to sound a little bit more dirty than I wished it had. But these big girls, they need the touch of the brush. You got to give it to them. And we're giving the Dhunia knot all it can take right now. I'll tell you that.
That's horrible.
Yep. Hey, we don't body shame on painting with Menoth John.
Absolutely.
So we're a body positive podcast about painting somehow. So there you go. I don't know where I was going with that, John, but here we are.
Just going.
That's right.
So for my painting rant, since it seems like you got time.
Yeah, let's do it.
I've been painting my ret and sort of hemming and hawing over the color scheme that I totally stole from an early 80s cartoon and comic book and toy series, but I'm not going to go into that. I'll let you guys guess when you see them, which won't be tonight. But I've been talking to people, and they're like, "Oh, it's a little dark, and all that." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I really like it." But eventually you bow to pressure, and you're like, "I need to make it lighter."
No.
And Neek von Slagmat, like a year or two ago, when I was talking about having problems with it, he did a lot of help, and I totally appreciate all the help he gave me. But we ended up with blue and gold, and I'm sorry, blue and gold's way too freaking cliche for even me. And while it's a good contrast. And I've tried a couple different things. You know, I have a test model of a Manicore that I'm throwing colors on. He actually took it and like took my picture and like used it in Photoshop and threw in some gold and all, and it looked interesting, but it's not what I'm looking for, you know. So what I'm going to say is, don't let the better painters push you into a paint scheme you don't want to do. Because I mean, they're just being helpful. There's no negativity on this at all. They're not. There's no ulterior motives. They just want you. You know, they're trying to tell you the if you will, the quote unquote rules of painting. You want to paint a more dynamic model, you should have hot and, you know, warm and cold colors and all that good stuff. But don't necessarily let them. If you like the paint scheme, just go with it.
You got to roll with it.
Yeah. Now maybe use what they've told you to change it up. So mine was you know, blue with a little bit of black, and it was very dark. And I did some stuff to make it not dark. And the black is a tough color to paint.
Hell yeah, it is.
And if it's more than just a spot color, it's going to be tough.
Yep.
So I ended up made it very dark gray, and I would put a black wash or two over it, and that might, you know, lighten it up a little bit. But it did, like I said, so his help did make me think about it. And at least on the infantry models, I have a Dawnguard Sire, who's my test paint model. That's mostly what he's good for. And man, I like the dark gray a little better. Thinking about it helped a little bit, brightened up a little bit. It's still all cool colors, but you know, it's a little brighter now. Breaks up the blue a little bit. So we'll see how they end up. But you know, don't be afraid to experiment with it. But don't. If you're not comfortable, if you're hemming and hawing because you don't want to do what they say, just don't.
Yeah.
There's only one person in the world who's got to like your models. Look in the mirror. That's the person.
And the thing is, you're going to spend so many hours with these models that if you're painting a scheme that you don't truly believe in, you're not going to do your best work. It's going to be drudgery.
Absolutely.
It's going to be drudgery, and you don't want that. You want to have fun. This is supposed to be a hobby, man. It's supposed to be something that brings joy to your life, not drudgery.
Mm-hmm.
So
and if you're not one of the more prolific painters, don't hesitate to make your paint scheme easy.
oh god,
You
yeah.
can go back and add details later if you ever want to.
Yup.
But with the same measure, you don't want to become complacent. You got to challenge yourself a little bit.
Agreed.
So, hey, there you go. There's a little paint rant.
That's a great paint rant, man.
That's what I was going through. I made him blue and red because the Yon I'm painting is blue and red. Didn't look as good on him, so I aborted and put the gray over it. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, blue and gray is probably just as cliche as blue and gold, just less, you know, color appropriate, if you will. But hey, I'll live with it.
Well, that's good. You know, I whatever you do, you gotta like it, and I applaud your decision to move forward with something that made more sense to you, and is going to make it more fun for you to paint those models.
Mm-hmm. And if you're on the other end, if you're the painter and you're giving advice, and they don't take it. Don't feel bad. Good Lord, man, you're giving advice. Not everyone's going to take all your advice.
Yeah.
If they took all your advice, then I mean, you're just painting for them, kind of through their proxy.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
just they're going to take it, and even if it doesn't look like they consider it, I bet money they consider it more than you think they do.
Yep. So cool. That's a good painting rant.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, the painting studio is like 4,000 degrees right now. Sweat my balls off.
Mine was a little much, but that's because it's a little warmer here, so I don't have my AC on or anything. So
I gotta get a fan. I gotta get a fan down here to when I'm painting.
I've got a fan, Jenny McCollum.
I know you do.
Oh,
Man, you got the best fan ever. She's super fan. All right, so I'm trying to remember. You know, I looked at this thing. I'm trying to pick out the color I'm going to make things. And I think I may have painted all of the sanguine I've got to paint on here. I got little areas I got to patch up here. You know, John, do we have any questions we'd like to take?
we could throw some questions out
Yeah,
there,
let's
but I
do
didn't
some
want
questions.
to throw something not related to what you were saying. If you're painting a bottle, you don't know what to paint, but you need to get something there, just put a neutral color there, something you can go over.
Yep.
Gray is good for that. Brown's good for that. Just something in the middle there, because sometimes even just putting a color there will bring out a little bit of the detail, and you go like, all right, now I see what I wanted to paint it.
Yeah, and the thing that for me with the with the airbrush that I'm doing now, going over it with a light color on top of the black prime is a big deal because it really picks out the details beautifully.
Mm-hmm. Plus that whole thing we suggested, if you're black priming and you can't tell the details, throw a quick dry brush of gray over it or something.
Yep, if you don't have access to an airbrush, that's the
Yeah.
way to go. Helps.
There's a lot of little tricks you can do. We're helping. We're throwing painting knowledge at you now. Oh my God.
We're breaking knowledge eggs. We're making omelets on your ass right now. Boom.
All right. Let's hit some questions now.
Whew, I'm hot. All right.
From Dowdark. He has gone through 3 different games and a generic question. Oof. So let's hit this going. His first one's Guild Ball related.
All right.
How many pieces of terrain do you feel is appropriate for Guild Ball? And is there one type of terrain you think should always be on the table no matter the match?
So, I'll be honest with you. I've yet to play a game of Guild Ball with terrain. I know that you're supposed to, and but I'm just learning. And I'm sorry, guys. The focus on the camera is not awesome. Something happened a while back that I can't control. This camera's focus. So I think what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to go back to I'm going to switch some things around from a wire standpoint, and then I'm going to have to remake some of the XSplit stuff. But I should have better control of the focus next time. But I think maybe 4 pieces of terrain or 5. It's a small pitch. It's only a 3x3 pitch for a full-size game. I think the terrain can make a big difference to the game because it becomes, especially for the kinds of armies that like to move around a lot and have movement shenanigans, they can use it to their advantage a lot. So I think that probably about 4, maybe 5 pieces. Start there. And as far as something that I would certainly always want to see, I probably because it's supposed to be mob football and supposed to be being played kind of in the city, I'd want to see some buildings. Small ones, not big, and some obstacles and things like that. So that's maybe where I think I would shoot for. I know you don't play Guild Ball yet. If you're going to, I don't know, but you probably don't have a take on this one.
No, not really. It seems kind of weird to me from an old Blood Bowl player to have terrain on the pitch. Damn it! That's why it's a pitch. We made it for play.
Yeah, it's a it's not exactly football. It's something else. I don't know what you want to call it. Something else.
And Mr. Bear 101 says in any miniature game, I think you need some terrain that your models have to interact with. That's true, but not in Blood Bowl because honestly, there's enough models on the field you don't have to. Terrain in Blood Bowl would just be psychotic. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I mean it's a different game. It's I think that actually the terrain is a balancing factor not for Blood Bowl, but for Guild Ball. Simply because I think that there are some teams like the Fishermen or the Engineers that could probably really benefit from having something on the pitch to kind of help manage some of the more bruiser type things like Butchers or things like that. So probably the next time I play, I'm probably going to bring some of my flat terrain that I have along with and just kind of throw some of that, maybe 3, 4, 5 pieces out there and just see what happens.
Absolutely. That sounds super legit. So, Dark's second question is more for me than you in this case.
Terrific.
It's Infinity related. Is there a cheap and easy way to get around the terrain requirements of Infinity tables? Buy their cardboard terrain. You won't necessarily get the height of other terrain sets, but it's really cost effective. You have some of it already if you bought the Operation Ice Storm, and I think the US Ariadna Army Pack has some too. And the cool thing is the boxes that all your models come in, all your bigger models, fit inside for extra support. A couple sets of those, and it's a good start. But honestly, it's getting to the point where there's enough people making terrain that you can start with that and then add, quote-unquote, real pieces of terrain as you see fit.
we're a big fan of the Tectonic Craft Studios here at Painting with Ben
Mhm.
John.
He makes some good pieces here or there. After I get my Malifaux table, Infinity table is second on my list, so I'll be sharing some ideas there. One of the guys from the crew, who unfortunately is pod faded, runs shark-minded lasers, and they actually have a whole terrain board deal that's not terribly expensive. It's enough terrain to make an entire tournament-style table, so pretty good.
That does sound pretty good. Shark-mounted lasers. Great name for a company.
Yeah, Dexter has that. He's a cool dude, and it makes some pretty cool stuff.
Nice.
All right. So his next one is actually PP related.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. Mr. Baron 101 says Infinity 3x3 or 4x4. It's actually 4x4, which is good for some of the ranges of the bigger weapons. All right. PP related is with the current release of rules changing errata coming from the President Meneth John, do you think that War Machine Hordes community's confidence in buying models has been shaken? Example, concerned over buying 2 units of Croaks for fear something can happen to make them less than what they are.
I would hang on for a few months, to be honest. Especially if you're looking at going into something that is currently above FA1. Not FA1, but if there is no base FA at this point, if you know that you can take that at, I look at I don't know if it's Rune Shapers or where it was, but there are some that where you get FAU where the card used to say FA some number, and you have more than is a number. I would stay away from those for a few months at least. But as for Croaks, I think they're FA2 anyway.
They are FA2.
And frankly, the only thing better than one Croak Raiders is 2. Although they seem to have a lot of hate going on, so they may get the Nerf bat at some point.
It's definitely possible, and honestly, I would say the warning signs for any unit for the president to take a look at it would be if they're in a ton of lists. If they become, oh, well, X is the right way to build this, that's when you got to start looking at them.
Yep. I mean, I think what PP has and what personally I look a lot at. One of the first things I do is I say, I talk to some of my minions, and I say, where do you feel like we've seen stagnation in list building? And then I say, well, that shit's got to go. I say we can make America great again. And the way that we can do that is by nerfing getting some. We could build a wall around those lists that have stifled list building. So
there you go. And keep an eye on theme lists. I've heard rumors that they're going to get a little attention here soon because they're not all created equally, and really, they should be closer to equal.
Yep. Some of the theme lists you don't have to worry about. Most of the Ret ones from the book.
Yeah, because really, what are you worried about? Will of 9 voices?
Well,
as soon as your caster hits armor 17 or 18, that list is no longer a threat to you.
Yep. So
unless your opponent's got fire dice, but you know what? Fire dice don't care what your anything is. Fire dice.
Yeah. So there are much bigger problems. I mean, you look at, if you look at Veil 2, where a theme list has pretty much defined a faction. I think you can see. I think Runes is high on the list of things to get hurt.
Even little lists like Shay.
Yeah.
Shay, even with the advent of Gaston and other stuff, it's still the best way to play him because of the free points and the abilities.
Yeah.
So you're like, why would you not play Shay in theme? And that's where the problem becomes.
Yep. Exactly. Where it squelches any type of creativity whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thought on it as president for life of War Machine and Hordes.
Mm-hmm.
Dowdark, if there are any particular lists you would like me not to go after, we can talk. We have a patreon.com/menothjohn here, right down here in the corner. www.patreon.com/menothjohn, and I've noticed you're not supporting the show. So you could support the show and get a voice in that. Now, while cronyism it will get you a seat at the table, it is no guarantee. So hopefully that'll do. John has moved off to get himself more alcoholic beverage, which is like what we like to think of as an important part of the show. And I am continuing to. I'm putting some leathers on these girls now, and because they wear a leather armor, it appears. So we're working on that, and John is back now.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I was out of drink. Had to get some more.
No, you never have to apologize on the Painting with Ben Off John show for going to get some more beverage.
So I've now tried all 3 commonly available versions of hard root beer.
Okay.
Breckers and Coney Island, hard root beer, and Not Your Father's root beer. And in my opinion, Sprecker's the worst. Because it tastes too beery.
It is not my favorite either.
Yeah. Just, I mean, people who buy this stuff don't want beery taste.
I like, my favorite is Not Your Father's, to be honest.
Not Your Father's is a little taste. You can tell it's alcohol. So if you're worried about forgetting it's alcohol, it's your one. I really like Coney Island, but that's also because it doesn't taste like alcohol at all. So it's also dangerous.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Yes. We were talking about him earlier.
Nice.
At lunch. All right, so his last question, at least from this.
Sure.
It's community related. It says, was at a game store this past week and a group of War Machine Hordes players were teasing some Age of Sigmar players under their breath. Would it be in good form beating them unexpectedly and bathe them in lighter fluid before tossing them out into the smoking area outside the store for being jerks to a fellow tabletop gamer?
I think that you should, my supporters out there should do whatever it takes to silence people like that, and I will pay for your, I'll pay for your legal fees. No, that's from a different speech. No, I mean, if you know the people who are giving them a hard time, and I would go up and talk to them and say, hey, you know what, we're better than that. If they're having fun, that's all that matters. It doesn't. That's just silly to make fun of somebody for a game that they're playing, especially if they're having a good time. If they're jumping around like they're riding a horse and having a hoot and a holler, God bless them. They're having a good time. Why piss on their Cheerios? I got no time for that. Games are games, and the beauty of America right now and the world in general is that there's a lot of different games out there that you can play. Isn't that a beautiful beautiful world to live in?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I don't think you need to bathe them in lighter fluid and throw them outside.
No, I wouldn't do that.
I was just firing back at them. That's the best thing. Nothing's better than throwing stuff back in their face and they realize how shitty it is. Like, yeah, so those guys can't hear you, but you can hear them.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we're all gamers. So you don't play that game. Whatever. Don't hate a person for what they play. If you're going to hate a person, goddamn hate them for who they are. Get to know them, and then, if you need to, you can hate them.
We need to take all this energy that we're spending right now as a people and redirect that shit from being negative and mean to being positive and uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pointless. I mean, because you don't like the game doesn't mean that there isn't value in that game. By gosh. Anyway, there. So no hate. We are a no hate podcast. Except Legion and Crix.
Well, like I said, if you're going to hate something, hate it for what it legitimately needs to be hated for.
That's right.
There are people I don't like who play other games. And you know why? Because I don't like their personality. I don't like the way they handle themselves. I don't like what they bring to the overall gaming community.
Yep.
And, but I can still deal with them. I'm still a human being. I'm not like throwing zingers at them under my breath. Maybe when they're not in the room.
Frankly, that's kind of...
At the end of the day, to be honest, don't say anything about someone you wouldn't say to their face.
Yeah, frankly, it's gutless.
That's how I live my life.
Yeah.
If I say something about you behind your back, be damn sure I'll say it to your face.
And nobody's looking to start a fight. I mean, we got Chicago rallies for that.
To be honest, so there was a guy... Story time with John Spencer.
That's fine.
Yay. There was a guy at Games Workshop who was known to cheat. Everyone knew he cheated. No one really liked playing him because he cheated. So one time we're there and we're pretty much the only ones not playing a game. So he asked me to play a game. I'm like, dude, I wouldn't play you if the last player left on Earth. And that took him back a little bit. He's like, well, why? Well, I wanted this little rant without profanity, which I consider especially impressive considering how much I said. And I just went on how people know he cheats and all this stuff, and just gave it to him for a good couple minutes. Afterwards, the store guys were like, "Well, it was impressive. Didn't curse once. Thumbs up." And after that point, we all noticed a distinct change in how he played. He played completely up front. He stopped cheating. They became a much better person for everyone to play with and hang out with.
Man, that's beautiful.
It is. And sometimes people need to hear that. They don't realize, It means you realize, like, hey, do I want to play games or do I want to win? What's more important to you?
Yeah.
If it's win, you might be in the wrong thing because everyone loses games.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Where the hell is the joy in winning by cheating?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I will say, if you know someone, if you catch someone cheating and you play them and you cheat better, there's joy in that, but that's one-upsmanship.
Yeah. Yay, you're king of the douche hill. Hooray for you.
All right, so next one. There's one that you haven't seen, John. I got a question you haven't seen.
Holy shit. All right,
That's going to lead to another tiny story, too.
Nice.
So Trollton Heston, who said he could not be here tonight, unfortunately. Flippity Blue, what is the Kraken rating you expect to give Batman vs. Superman when you see it opening weekend?
Holy crap. First off, I'm not seeing it opening weekend.
Oh, see, that's the thing. He has challenged me to see it opening weekend.
Oh, Jesus. Well, okay.
He offered to pay for my ticket, and I said, dude, you don't need to do that because you kind of already are. You're a patron.
Yes.
Thumbs up, dude. We were sitting at lunch yesterday talking about it. He's like, I feel like you watch shitty movies for the podcast all the time. You might as well watch this one because people are going to want to know. And he made a good point.
There's a lot of truth in there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it's the movie I'm looking least forward to this year. It's the movie I'm going to see that I'm probably looking forward to the least this year.
Yeah, that's a fair statement.
With second being probably one that's going to be probably much better, which is X-Men Apocalypse. Because, I like Days of Future Past, but it still pisses all over, like, years and years of history.
Fair enough.
And as an X-Men guy growing up, that was pretty much my first comic I really, really followed. It gets you a little bit. Gets you where you live. As Tom Gruhalo used to run Drop Zone, former manager of Drop Zone, says, they're great and fine superhero movies, but they're not really X-Men at all.
Yeah.
That's fair. So, Kraken rating I expect to give it. I'm really expecting to give it the hatred-fueled 4 shots of Kraken like I gave Star Wars Episode 3.
I see that coming hard. I can see you giving it 4 shots of Kraken with its eyes closed, mostly based on the trailer that shows Batman lobbying just to against justice.
That gets my goat every time because that's not Batman.
No.
Someone posted a quote on Facebook. It's a sort of quote off. It's Batman says, if you kill somebody, the number of killers in the world stays the same. And I'm like, hell's yeah. And then of course it's followed up by a Punisher quote like, that's why I kill lots of people at once. So that they put it for one thing, but it's really important because that is at the core of Batman.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, if he kills somebody, how does he know he's not just creating the next villain version of Batman? Oh, I killed this villain. Now their son doesn't have a dad, and now he's going to be all crazy and shit.
Yep. So I'm probably okay. So I am less. What's happening though is that I'm becoming more and more of that kind of Batman fan through watching Batman the Animated Series. Because I think they get it right on that show. He is a detective, and he's a detective unshackled by certain parts of the Constitution.
Yes, because sometimes when the bad guys aren't playing by the rules and have other advantages, The cops don't have a chance. The bad guys have all these extra stuff, and then they don't follow the rules on top of that. Batman just taking it to them on their ground.
Yep.
You know, he'd like to not have to do that, but at the end of the day, he has to.
Yep. So I'm probably in the I'm probably gonna be 3 shots of Kraken, the way
Yeah.
I'm seeing it possibly go down.
And when did Batman become not the world's greatest detective and the world's greatest ass whooper? Hint: DC Comics, he's not.
Yeah.
But he wins because he's got a plan, because he thinks. He's like Sherlock Holmes, just with a bit more martial arts ability.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Barron. The Batman cartoon, I consider the perfect version of Batman.
Yeah, I love that show. I'm watching it with my kid, and we love it.
So good.
We love it.
So many really amazing episodes. Oh, my favorite is Almost Got Him. We're all sitting around all the villains sitting around the poker table, telling how they almost got him.
No, I have not gotten to that episode yet. I'm only in season 2.
I'm not going to spoil it because that episode is legit.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
All right. So enough there. Like I said, I'm expecting 4, but I'm apparently seeing it opening weekend. I'll see if I can get L. Marshall to see it with me because it opens Good Friday. Have the day off, so that's pretty good.
Nice.
We'll see if L. Marshall sees it with me. He's got the day off. If not, I'll see it and then hang out with him and play some games. Kev Bryant asked a question.
That guy.
He says, question based on the John's multi-DVD pack. Would all audiobooks sound better if read by Brian Blessed?
Yes.
Harry Potter, Hitchhiker's Guide, 50 Shades of Grey?
Yes.
Yes.
Brian Blessed is got the best damn voice ever. You know what's funny is whenever Nigel talks, I hear it in Brian Blessed's voice.
That's legit hairs.
So for those of you who don't know Nigel Brooks of the Mom podcast, Nigel is an incredible human being. He's a big man. He's a genuinely big fella, and and so is Brian Blessed, and so I hear things in Brian Blessed's voice.
I hear they wanted Brian Blessed to be in 300, but he would scare all the other Spartans away.
Oh yeah, they're like, fuck that, 300 not enough. We're out of here.
And wow, I love me some Anthony Hopkins. When I heard originally that Brian Blessed was going to be Odin in Thor, oh my god.
Oh my god, that'd be perfect.
It would be perfect. He wouldn't necessarily have as much, I don't know. He's not as good as an actor as Anthony Hopkins, let's just be honest. But
no.
Man, those lines were delivered with such
force. He sound godly, that's for damn sure.
Exactly.
Oh man. He's so good. Now I gotta watch Flash.
Ah.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, hey, speaking of Nigel, this next question from Chili Winters, who may or may not still be in the chat room hanging out.
That's fine.
He says, as President War Machine, what is your plan to deal with the recurring outbreak of Gatorade that keeps plaguing the community? And any plans to quarantine Nigel and the rest of the Muse crew?
So this is a public service announcement, okay? If you listen to the Mom main broadcast, that means that you're listening to Nigel Brooks. Nigel Brooks is a Svengali. Nigel Brooks can make anything sound fabulous that you'll want to buy it. The man is patient zero of Gatorades. He doesn't drink Gatorades. He drinks Gatorades,
which is better than Haterades.
Well, it's way better than Haterades. But so what are my plans to deal with him? I think that the only chance you have against him is not to listen. You know, it's a little bit like war games. You know, the only correct answer is not to play at all. And he is a Svengali-like individual, and he's got the dulcet tones. You don't even see it coming. You don't even see him coming. And
he's super legit. He did totally sell me the entire pack of flat terrain when all I really wanted was zones. He's like, well, it's just $15 more or whatever. I'm like, fine, give it to me, Nigel. That sounds good.
Yep, he's like that. He's Svengali.
And now it sits in my backpack because if I need to break out terrain, whoosh, terrain.
It should make a noise like that when you open it up.
Yeah, whoosh. Life would be so much better if it all had the appropriate sound effects.
Yeah, sound effects for like all martial arts. Old martial arts movies would be amazing.
Wait, no.
No?
I'm not going to tell you where my mind went, but it went straight down into the gutter. No,
Okay, fine. We're just going to move away from that then.
Yes, step away. Back away slowly.
Back away slowly. All right, well, cool. She's coming
All right.
along.
Yeah,
Coming along.
absolutely.
We're coming along here. We're getting the leathers on the girls.
You're making good progress.
Yeah, these, I actually do, now that I paint on this show again, I get more painting done.
It's funny how that works.
Funny, huh? Weird.
Actually, I honestly got a surprising amount of painting done this week, despite the fact the earliest I was home was like 7:45.
I got dick cheese done this week because I was in York,
Yeah,
Pennsylvania.
You were out of state.
That is a true fact. This girl ain't got nothing on for leather. She has very little on for leathers. So we're gonna have to. We'll put. I guess there's gonna be a little bit on the chest plate, but not much. All right.
All right, yeah. So I got two more from the chat room.
Awesome.
One is Jenny McCollum. I'll skip her out of order real quick. How many years since John has changed his paint water?
Earlier today.
Wow.
This was fresh water. This was fresh water when I. Oh, I see what she's seeing. She's seeing the black ring at the top of the cup. So let me put this on the paint water cam. So here it is. Here's an aerial view of it, and
Paint water cam.
And as you can see, it is the color of blood, which is because of the sanguine. But yeah, the cup itself has been used for some time. As you can see, I do use a metal beard cup for the from Lego the movie. So
here's a hint. I imagine that happened because he left the water for a long time.
Yes,
you actually clean it up after every time you paint, more or less. It will actually not do that.
I don't care about it. It's good. I like that. It's got character now. It's got a little je ne sais quoi, if you will. I don't really know what that word means, but it sounds good, didn't it?
It's just got a little something, something.
Oh, something. I gave it the business.
I actually bought two sort of those glass jars with the almost like mason jars, but not exactly. They got the little latch, so they're watertight.
Nice.
I bought a couple of those at the local craft shop, and I'm like, yeah, these will work fine. And now I've got two different ones in different shapes, so I have different water for metallics and regular, and I can tell.
Nice. I'm not that fancy.
I am that fancy. I've back in the day painted enough metallics on stuff that you don't want metal flecks in your regular paints. There's no bueno.
Fair enough.
But if you're not painting that many metallics, it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
But if you are, think about it.
If you're painting a vampire, what you might want to do then is do the metals first on a lot of things, and then they can be sparkly.
Oh, sparkly vampires should not exist.
They shouldn't. Just ask Total Fangirl.
Fair enough.
Vampires do not sparkle.
Yep.
So there you go.
I'm going to count that as a callback, a sign of professional podcasting.
Oh, it is a callback, and it is a sign of professional podcasting. Folks, you could be listening to other podcasts right now, but you're not. And the reason you're not is because we typify professionalism in podcasting.
Absolutely.
We use all the special techniques that you might hear about that other podcasters might. We can't talk about them, but if you heard about a special technique on another podcast, yeah, we use it. And
absolutely,
we've invented a few that they don't even know about. So there you go.
Yeah, I know so many techniques I have never actually used myself, but I can describe how to do some of them.
That's right. By the way, in the media section today, we're going to talk a little bit about a new podcast that I discovered, thanks to a buddy of mine at the York plant. That is hilarious, and I highly recommend it.
Is it short?
It is no more than a half hour in length each episode.
Booyah!
Yep,
that's good because I like to put podcasts. I like to upload them to my Amazon library, put them in a playlist so I can tell my Amazon Echo to play them while I'm painting.
Well, here, let's just talk about it right now.
Hit it up.
We'll make it a premature entrance to the media section. I could have thought about baseball for a little while, but we're gonna go right into it. So the podcast. Thanks. I'm glad you liked that one.
I could tell you. I'm gonna tell you a joke from my uncle. My uncle once tried Viagra while he was watching baseball. He said, "All he could think about was, man, that's Scotty Erickson. What a pitcher." All right, proceed.
All right, so this podcast is called Welcome to Night Vale. Welcome to Night Vale is a podcast that basically takes the premise that it is a local community radio station in a desert town, and odd things are afoot. So I would describe this podcast as H.P. Lovecraft meets Twin Peaks meets The Prairie Home Companion. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's perfect. It's perfect, and it is no more than a half hour long. It's basically it's all spoken word, and so they come on and they do a they do a news update for the community. They'll talk about all kinds of different things. I will give you an example of something that happened. One episode is called The Glow Cloud. And it talks about how there's this glow cloud coming in from the east, or excuse me, the west. And as it's coming across town, it's dumping dead animals onto the city. No one knows what it's doing. It's changing colors. There's the sheriff's secret police force. There's the black helicopters of the one world government, and then there's the helicopters that are painted to look like birds that the secret police recommend that you do not look at, do not acknowledge their existence, and run in the other direction, because nobody knows what they're up to. It's amazing. It is. You'll just find certain parts of it you'll just giggle at. So it is Welcome to Night Vale, and it is on the iTunes.
That makes it even better because it's easier to get on my iPod then.
Yep. So
there's my thing. I've been moving for how long?
Yep.
I haven't put iTunes on my new computer since I got new Windows.
Windows 10, huh?
Still 7.
Well, 7. That's right.
I haven't upgraded iTunes. I just download stuff directly on there.
Yep. So
if we're gonna talk about podcasts for a little bit, I'm gonna mention one I've mentioned before. It is Junk Food Cinema with Brian Salisbury, who used to be on a channel called Spill that I used to really love, did a lot of cool entertainment stuff. And C. Robert Cargill, who is a writer and a screenwriter. Here's the funny thing. He's actually a screenwriter for Doctor Strange, even.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but they talk about what we would commonly call shitty movies.
There you go.
A lot of, like, their first episode was Battle Beyond the Stars, so I was fucking in.
Oh, God, yeah, you were all in.
And they've talked about so many, and some of the movies they talk about, you're like, what the hell? Basically, they talk about cult and exploitation films, and they do it with proper reverence. They legitimately love these movies. They've talked about the movie I watched this week, The Rocketeer. They've talked about so many movies from my childhood that are just like so great. And like every time I talk about a movie, more often than not, I'm like, I want to go see that movie because it sounds like my kind of thing. They talk about all these movies that just sound gloriously awesome. So check them out if you get a chance. They're about an hour long. They're funny.
Cool.
And they talk about the kind of movies that John likes.
Well, and I have a soft spot in my heart for terrible movies too. I mean, I've watched terrible movies since I was a kid, and it's good times to do that. So, I'm kind of wondering how much further I'm going to go with these guys tonight. To be honest with you, I'm sweating like a pig, and that's just no more. I'm not having a lot of fun. I need to get myself a fan down here. I need to get some ventilation going. Got to hook up, get all that stuff going. I'm also dog sitting two of Belinda's brother's dogs, so I'm hoping they're not shitting up the house upstairs. That's kind of the hope I'm going for here.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate.
Be unfortunate for them dogs too.
Yeah. So one last flippity bloop.
Yeah.
Flight Medic wants to know, when is the next Brushhead Gallery?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Let's see. It is March. So we did one for January. Let's see. We did one in January. So that was the one for the fourth quarter. So first quarter would be January, February, March. So I would assume it would be the end of March. We'll do
or
one.
beginning of April.
Yeah, probably. I would guess early April.
Yep.
So there you go.
So send your stuff in. pwmjohn@gmail.com. Do it now.
It never hurts. I mean, it never hurts to send this stuff in because but make sure you put Brushhead Gallery in the subject, or else I cannot guarantee that it will be on the show. Because I do a search by Brushhead Gallery, and if it comes up, awesome. If not, forget about it. It's not gonna happen for you. So there you go. I am.
And yes, Trollton Heston, you did miss your flippity ploop.
Yep. It's the quick and the dead, buddy. The quick and the dead.
Yeah, that's a good note. Here's your sweet note from us, from me, since I watch. Here's a little hint. I watch movie reviews of just about every movie that comes out that I can, because you never know when you might say that movie that someone says is awesome and you need to see.
Yeah.
So, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Not even remotely related to Cloverfield.
Okay.
Not even a little.
So why are they marketing it the way that they are then?
Because they're bastards.
Really?
So apparently, it's a pretty good movie, and John Goodman is apparently totally legit and awesome in it.
But
It's got to be his second best role after Pops Racer and Speed Racer,
oh wow, that's high praise.
because he was perfect in that role.
Yep, he was born for that role.
Speed Racer was so good.
Yep. By the Wachowski siblings.
Yes, the Wachowski siblings. It's their best movie.
So, I mean, so is there even a paranormal aspect to it, like critters or anything?
To be fair, I haven't watched it,
Oh, okay.
but the review I read, review I saw from Jeremy Johns, who's a very good reviewer on YouTube. He's amusing and generally his tastes are in line with mine about 80% of the time, which is pretty good. Not even related. So put it out of your mind.
All right. Well, but I've heard it's a good movie.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's he gave it one of his higher reviews.
Cool. Well, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna go see it.
I told Jenny that I might see it when it gets into cheap theaters near me. But you know what hit the cheap theaters near me just this week?
What hit the cheap theaters near you just this week?
Star Wars.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Because $4. I can check the movie times when I get off work. Might be a good time. We'll see.
The $4
Might see it a couple
Awakens.
times.
There you go. I'm wondering when that's going to hit Blu-ray.
Oh, so maybe someone already found that information. Just got to go scroll up here in our chat so I can remember to find it. It's April. Let us see. April 11th for digital download and 18th for the Blu-ray DVD.
Okay, cool. I'll probably just get it digital. I'll probably buy it on Amazon and just watch it digital.
So I'm torn because I know there's going to be a super special edition eventually.
Yeah.
And on one hand, I want to buy it on DVD so that I'd watch it cool. When the special edition comes out, I buy that in Blu-ray and give my mom the DVD.
Oh, there you go.
That's what I did with the Lord of the Rings. That's why she owns all of those.
Sure.
But on the other hand, some DVDs don't look great on my TV because my TV is large and very HD.
Cool.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I'll own it. I watched a movie this week.
I heard.
I watched a movie that it's one of those movies that borders on awesome and awful all at the same point.
What?
It has
Oh my God.
it has some awful bits to it.
What?
I'm talking about Mystery
The movie
Men.
is solid gold.
It's pretty awesome, but I have one criticism of the movie. We'll get it out of the way so we can move on. Paul Rubens' accent was too thick. Paul Rubens was damn near impossible to understand. And I get the fact he's running a nerd lisp. I get that. But it was very, very difficult to get through. So let's talk about this for a second. Mystery Men, in case you haven't noticed, is based on a comic book, Dark Horse Comics. It is a story of lesser superheroes. So you have, but it has a really amazing cast in it. It has William H. Macy as the Shoveler, but his secret power, special superpower is that he's really good with shovels.
Oh, he shovels like no one else.
Like no one else. I know you do, honey.
The cards pain.
Yep. The and then there is oh god, Ben Stiller, who plays Mr. Furious, and he what's that?
Tied for best Ben Stiller movie with Tropic Thunder.
Mr. Furious, his secret power is that he gets really mad, and that's all he does. He gets super mad. Not that it gives him special rage powers or anything. He's got a shitty attitude. Then we have Blue Raja, who is a
Master of cutlery.
And he throws forks and spoons, but he's best with forks. He will not throw knives. He will not throw knives.
Knifey boy or stab man.
I'm not stab man.
I fucking love this movie. I really do.
And there is the city, which is Champion City, is taken over. Has all of the. They have a real superhero named Captain Amazing, and he has banished all of the bad guys, and so he's starting to lose sponsorship. He's got all kinds of sponsors all over his stuff. Mystery Men, yes, and he's losing sponsorship, so he comes up with a plan to get one of his arch nemesis, whose name is Casanova Frankenstein. It's totally legit. Yeah, there you go. There he is, Mystery Men. And so to get him out of the insane asylum, and he pulls together all of his old cronies, the furries, who are these girls that wear fur. And they have the Disco Brothers.
The Disco Boys, yeah.
The Disco Boys. And then we have the what was it? The guys, the Big Tobacco was the name of the leader.
Big Tobacco, yeah.
Big Tobacco.
The suits downsizing all their enemies.
Yeah, exactly, the suits. So that's pretty classic.
And with a special cameo by Michael Bay as one of the frat boys.
Super sweet. Yeah, the frat boys were one of them too. Can we bring the brewskis in to the yes?
Yeah, you may bring the brewskis.
Yeah, you may bring the brewskis. Anyway, so
I love this movie.
So
I really do.
They capture Mr. Fantastic, and Captain Amazing, whatever his fucking name is, Captain Amazing, and they have to find more people to help them, more superheroes, and they hold tryouts, and the tryout scene for Mystery Men is possibly the greatest 2 minutes in film history. They have Eraser Man and
Eraserhead and Son of Eraserhead.
Son of Eraserhead.
And the Waffler.
The Waffler.
Going crispy. Bad guys are history.
So, I mean,
oh my God.
We're not going to tell all of them right now. And
I could. I really could.
I know you could. And that's where they hook up with Invisible Boy, who is only invisible if nobody is looking at him. But even if he looks at himself in a mirror, he becomes visible again. So
and the bowler.
The bowler, which is Janine Garofalo's last decent role.
Who may actually be the only legitimate superhero out of the entire group.
Oh, well, at least her dad's head is. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yes.
I'll just leave it at that. At least her dad's head is.
Let's just say I love this movie so much I could probably quote fully half of it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, Paul Rubens plays the Spleen, whose superpower is extreme flatulence. I'm sorry. I think that the Spleen is a legitimate superhero too. Honestly, if you're dropping people dropping people with the power of your ass, oh god, I forgot the Sphinx. But to forget the power of the Sphinx is
I can do that. That's not superhero-like. Good Lord.
To forget the power of the Sphinx is to not remember the Sphinx's powers.
He's terribly mysterious.
He's terribly mysterious. So.
Oh my God, that whole scene.
And they hook up with a guy that creates non-lethal battle parts. And from looking at the credits, I forget who the guy was now. It was Tom Waits.
Yes.
Plays the role of the guy that helps him. And it's like Belinda and I are looking at him going, man, I know who that guy is. And then went, oh shit, it's Tom Waits.
Oh, this movie.
So yes, oh he does. That's right. The Sphinx can cut guns in half with his mind. That's very mysterious.
I hadn't heard that.
Yes.
The flamethrower, yes. Oh god.
The flamethrower.
This movie is full of great stuff. If you love superheroes, but you don't always want them taken seriously,
This is your movie.
yeah. Excuse me.
So this was Belinda Librarian's idea, and it was a capital idea. We watched the movie. My son Jacob went to bed 2/3 of the way through, and Charlie watched it all the way through. So Charlie gets a gold star, and Jacob gets a blue star. So he can't get the full one. So Charlie heard his name mentioned, so now he's coming over to take a look. Anyway, so yeah, I mean I'm gonna give Mystery Men. I'm gonna give it 2 shots of Kraken.
2 shots, Jesus Christ!
No,
I'll tell you what.
No, because
I give it 0.
No.
You don't need shots of Kraken.
No, but it helps. It's nice.
It's one of those great movies that it doesn't hurt, but
I'm being overruled by even the McCollums on this one.
yeah. Let's be fair. It's obvious I love this movie a little more than you because I love this movie.
There's, I'll be honest though. She's more your fan than she is mine. So there you
that's
go.
fair.
That's fine. Anyhow, so there you go. That is Mystery Men. Anything else for us, John?
Well, I watched 2 movies, and actually they're both superhero, or a movie and a TV show, and they're both superhero. I watched the first episode of Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay.
It was pretty legit. It's good enough to get me to watch the second episode. Action's a little rough, but it's a TV show, so I have to manage my expectations a little bit. But I'm enjoying the characterization of most of the people, and even not having watched all of Arrow and Flash to know who these people are beforehand, I sort of got the cliff notes, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty good. I give it maybe a shot and a half of Kraken so far, but with definite potential to go either way, depending on how further episodes are. But I got it all on my TiVo. I'm going to watch them as I eat dinner every night. And movie-wise, I watched The Rocketeer.
Yes.
Which is another one of my favorites.
I have Rocketeer models for my Rivet Wars game.
That's super legit.
Yeah, there's a Rocketeer. There's a full regular model, and then there's also a plug that goes in with some of the other ones. So, before we get into the Rocketeer, newsflash: the brass brush that I use for cleaning mold lines, also good at brushing my mustache and beard.
Fair enough. So The Rocketeer is, early 90s Disney movie, based off, what was the time? Apparently a recent superhero, The Rocketeer. It's set in just before World War II. And it's directed by Joe Johnston, who, if anyone pays attention, directed another pretty good World War II-ish movie named Captain America.
Yeah, I've heard that one pretty well. Made a couple bucks in the theater.
Yes. And this is sort of the reason he got that, because, man, he pulls off the time period well. And it's a very enjoyable movie. A couple points where it gets a little awkward, but they don't last too long. Remember, 90s was where that awkward humor was the thing, which is why I don't like a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's got some guy who never really had a starring role again as the Rocketeer. Timothy Dalton's the bad guy, super cool. He plays I don't really want to spoil it, but let's just say he plays the bad guy, and that's pretty apparent from the beginning. It's got a whole bunch of those guys in it, Yeah. You look at I recognize that guy. I recognize that guy. Through the entire movie, and it's basically a story of a guy who finds a rocket pack and has to use it to save people because that's what he does. He's a pilot, of course.
Yep.
It's not one of the top tier superhero movies because it is pretty paint by numbers.
Sure.
Which is probably its biggest downfall. Its biggest upside is Jennifer Connelly as his girlfriend, and she's super legit and awesome.
Yep, she is an upside. She's an upside.
Yes.
No two ways about that.
Other side, it's Disney-ish, so it's not a lot of violence. Though there is a scene with a lot of gangsters and G-Man using Tommy guns on Nazis, because that's what you do.
Oh God, yeah. Nothing kills a Nazi like a Tommy gun.
and it's pretty cool. I definitely suggest checking it out. It's fun, um, very self-contained. You'll watch it, have a good time, and be done. I give it a shot and a half a Kraken because it really hasn't aged well. I imagine most people will like it less than that, but I really, really love the movie. So, what can I say?
Nice. Yeah, I mean, Kovnick Scott makes a great point here. So they didn't want to remake Commander Cody. I'm a big Commando Cody guy from watching enough Mystery Science Theater 3000. Nipple, tweak, tweak. Hey! was always some of my favorite moments. But yeah, so I can understand that. It's pretty much the
Yeah.
same thing as Commander Cody, right?
Yeah, but it was based off a comic book that had just come out like a couple years before. I remember this is the era where they did the Phantom, the Shadow. They were sort of feeling their way into comic movies. They're like, hey, Batman did well. Let's get some of these other guys who are maybe not as expensive to
Yeah.
shoot movies for and see if they work. I will eventually review both the Phantom and the Shadow because I fucking love those movies too.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much. Hard to remember.
So
We'll see.
do we need to do a movie club pretty soon?
Probably should. I don't know what we're going to do for it, but
Let's do Flash.
probably should.
Let's do
What's that?
Flash. Have we done Flash?
We can do Flash. I don't think we've done Flash Gordon. I mean,
We should do Flash Gordon.
I'm not sure I need an excuse to watch Flash Gordon, but I will watch Flash Gordon.
Nah, it'll get me off my dead white ass and get it done. So, let's go ahead and let's plan on doing a 2 weeks from now. How about for Easter?
So-
No, not Easter. We don't. That's too far away.
How about Easter is 2 weeks away.
Shut up,
Exactly.
man. These fucking
So
bunnies.
it's that, or we do it the next week, where we do the Brushhead Gallery.
So do Flash next week, and then do Brushhead Gallery on Easter.
Or
I'm sorry, I'm not
no,
following things. This.
I was saying do it the week after Easter with the Brushhead Gallery.
Oh, there
We've
you
got
go.
all our community at once.
Oh, there you go. That'd be super
It
sweet.
takes time people to go out and find it. When I first found Flash Gordon on DVD, it was less than $5. It is worth so much more than $5.
Oh God, yeah, it's so good. Go Flash, go! Oh my God, so good. Anyway,
It is exactly what you want to shoot. If you want to make that kind of movie that's going to become a cult classic and be awesome but cheesy in all the right ways, this is what you make.
and Queen hit it out of the park with the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Just hit it out of the park. All right, so yeah, we'll do that. Well, that's a show. Shit,
Yeah.
whatever. It's a Painting with Men Off John show. We do shit. We painted
Hell
some
yeah.
stuff. We talked about bad movies. I drank some beer. You drank some of that sweet. What is it? 50. What the hell's the name of that whiskey?
43.
43. I'm gonna say 42. I would have been wrong. So this has been your Dhunia Knot update. Hope to have those guys painted. Also, I hope to be working on the big reveal here, guys. For those of you stuck all the way to the end, the Painting with Menoth John bobblehead. So,
Shit.
so I should have the reveal on that next week. So, everybody, hope you had a nice time. Hope it was good for you. We'll see you back here next time, here on Painting with Menoth John.